Has the government revealed all the documents it has on the JFK assassination, or did it still hold back?
I think it's still holding back, but what they did reveal, once you start digging into it, despite those who claim, oh, this is a nothing burger, there's nothing to see here, people like Ben Shapiro. The reality is it's very important. There was a book written several years ago by Michael Collins Phillips, Final Judgment. Let me repeat that. The book is called Final Judgment. I encourage your viewers and listeners to get it. Michael Collins Phillips is the author. In it, he presents not theory, not opinion, but extensive evidence that the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy was carried out really at the behest of the Israeli government, Ben Gurion, because John F. Kennedy was trying to block Israel's acquisition of nuclear weapons. And Israel worked closely with James Jesus Angleton and the mafia, which included Meyer Lansky, not just the Italian part, but it was the Jewish part. And when Phillips presented this, he's accused of being an anti-Semite, etc. The Anti-Defamation League went into overdrive to try to discredit him. Well, now the documents that were released last week, unredacted, show that James Jesus Angleton was circumventing President Kennedy's orders to stop Israel's nuclear program. He was doing just the opposite. He was working closely with Israel to help it get a nuclear weapon. And in fact, when he died, the government of Israel held a memorial service in Jerusalem for him. They dedicated a forest named after him and put up a plaque because of his role in helping Israel acquire a nuclear weapon. Not only that, we learn out of these documents that James Jesus Angleton set up a program called Operation Redcap in the late 50s. Operation Redcap was looking for young guys in the U.S. military who could be used as bait, could be sent to the Soviet Union as ostensible defectors, and be used to try to infiltrate the GRU and the KGB. Gee, guess who one of those young guys was that was part of Operation Redcap? Guy named Lee Harvey Oswald. So up to this point, the entire Warren Commission effort to portray Oswald as some lone nut, some lone gunman with no ties whatsoever to the CIA, heavily tied to the CIA. In fact, unfortunately, in Phillips' book, all they had was the word that there had been a 201 file created at CIA with respect to Oswald, implying that the agency was following him because they suspected he was involved with nefarious activity. Now we know, no. Oswald was an asset of the CIA, and that was one of the things the CIA has been struggling for years to cover up and prevent from becoming public.
You are an expert in weapons, in projectiles, and in the damage that projectiles do. What is your take on who or how JFK's head was attacked on November 22nd?
Well, when you get into a lot of these different people that have written about the Kennedy assassination, they always maintain that the bullet entered the front of Kennedy's head and blew out the back of his head. Well, the autopsy photo clearly shows that the front right lobe is like a flap. A car door opened up. It was blown out. That shot came from behind. Now people say, oh, see, that proves Oswald. No. Because the angle of the shot, Oswald was up, basically 20 to 22 degrees above Kennedy. And that line coming down, that bullet would have had to hit him almost in the top of the head to come out through that part. But when you look at the Zapruder film, and it's been restored in HD clarity, and you can go frame by frame over that 1 second when the front of his head explodes. You see a slight movement of his head forward, then it goes back as the brain and blood mass is exploding out the front as the bullet fragments exit. And it creates like a jet propulsion effect, forcing his head backwards. It's likely that the first shot that went through his throat came from the grassy knoll. That's possible. But that last shot, there's another shooter back there somewhere. And again, that hasn't been investigated. What Phillips lays out is that the CIA working with the mafia and with the strong encouragement of the government of Israel put in motion the plan to kill John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And it was a coordinated effort that day in Dealey Plaza. And the U.S. government has been covering it up ever since.
More about this the next time we talk. Thank you, Larry. Fascinating stuff. Both your observations on Mr. Witkoff, on the significance of the relationship between Trump and Putin, and now on the Israeli angle on the assassination of JFK. All the best. We'll see you Friday with Ray McGovern. Thank you, my dear friend.
Thanks, Judge.
Pleasure. Fascinating interview. Coming up remaining today at 3 o'clock, Scott Ritter. At 4 o'clock, live from Yemen, Pepe Escobar. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.